Thank you, Faith. Bonjour. Hi. Hola. Kwe. Such an honor. Very happy to be with you all, and yeah, to know that some of you, were from all over the world. It's quite moving to have this chance to practice together. So I'm in Montreal, Jojage, an unceded land that's been taken care of by the Kinikihaga, the Mohawk communities for many thousands of years, and it's a land of gathering. So we're gathering all together in some way here in Montreal, um, in Jojage, and it's great to see. I see a few people starting to share. If you want to share where you're sitting right now, where you're practicing, and it's good to have the sense of Sangha of community and see that yeah, there's people from a lot of different places, and we can be together. Bonjour, bonsoir, les gens de Paris. Big joy to be with all of you, Amsterdam, Washington, Pittsburgh. Great. Keep them coming. I'm always very moved that we um, get a chance to practice all together in this way and to share the depth of this practice that's been shared orally, like we're doing right now for 2,600 years, and here we are, each of us in our own home and practicing together in that way. So deep bow for the Sangha, and a deep bow for the Sangha that's been keeping this practice alive for so many years, and all the different communities, Asian communities all over the world that kept this practice alive for us, and we're practicing. So let's start with a 30-minute sit so we can really fully land in this moment together. And then we'll have some time for sharing, a bit of teaching around how to meet this light fully in, the complexity that the world that we're in. And of course, right now the heart might be, heavy. So how to be with all of that and hold everything with a sense of balance. And we'll have some chance for yeah, question and answer together. So I invite you to find a posture that's comfortable. I'm looking to everyone. That's so great. Everybody from everywhere. Okay, so find a posture that invites a sense of ease, and the beauty of being at home or in a place where we can practice is that each of us can find our own way of settling. It might be sitting, or maybe for us, the body needs to lie down this afternoon or tonight. So find a way that invites a sense of stillness, sense of calm. And if you wish, you can choose to close the eyes, inviting inner silence. And you might choose to keep the eyes open, just a soft gaze in front of you. And as we start just right here, maybe taking a few deeper breaths. And allowing the body to relax. And the breath can just be natural. And as we invite the attention to be established in the body, we can start by meeting the feet, touching the earth touching earth, feeling the support, the care of the earth as we invite the body to soften and relax. And allowing the attention to meet the legs, the hips, the spine, inviting the shoulders to soften a bit more, allowing the hands to rest where they want to rest. Belly is soft, and maybe just now we can notice the rising and falling of the abdomen. And just for a moment, allowing the attention to move up, noticing the sternum, breathing, the lungs, breathing, expanding and contracting, inviting the jaw, the cheeks, the mouth to relax. Maybe here noticing the breath coming in and out of the nostrils. Maybe noticing some warmth or coolness. And letting the attention meet the eyes, the forehead that softens a bit more. And here we are, this full body sitting, maybe standing or lying down. Inviting this inner stillness, inner silence. And just right here, allowing the attention to find maybe a home base, a primary object where the attention can land. Maybe it's in the abdomen, rising and falling. Maybe noticing the full body breathing. Or maybe it's in sounds coming and going, or the warmth of the hands, the touch of the feet on the earth. And here we are, just meeting this moment as it is, not needing to fix anything, change, force any particular sensations, just meeting this moment as it is. As we meet this body, of course, we get to become aware of maybe particular mind states or emotions that are present in your mood or thoughts coming and going. Just meeting all phenomena, all experiences with curiosity. How is it being known, felt in this moment? Inviting also a sense of kindness, of care, and just the simplicity, the breath rising, falling. It's like this right now, this moment. What's being known just right now? Inviting curiosity, interest, one moment at a time. Just this. Sometimes after a few minutes, the energy might be a bit lower, just inviting to recommit. The joy of the stillness of meeting what's there. Inviting a sense of allowing, accepting what's there. There's stronger emotions or thoughts that are taking a lot of space. Always wise to open the attention a bit wider, opening the eyes at time, not forcing or pushing. This deep care for our experience. And then there's the breath, there's the feet touching the earth, there's sounds coming and going. for the last just few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, just recommitting to our practice. Maybe the mind was lost in thoughts, in the future, in the past, in worry. Just coming back, just noticing this body, posture, just the simplicity. There is the body. Noticing the changing sensations, the warmth, the coolness, maybe expansion, contraction, sense of gravity, the support of the earth. All of this just right here. And we can take a moment just to connect to our intention for practice. May our practice together be for the benefit of all beings everywhere. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be at ease. Deep bows to everyone, to your practice, for showing up. It's not always easy to take this time to stop for a moment and really take this time to actually connect with what's there, what's touching our heart, touching our body. I've been sharing a lot lately how much courage it takes to really, really listen, to really allow ourselves to meet what's there. Thank you for being here and practicing with us. Hmm. So today I wanted to, it's always interesting when we're inviting to share a theme for a practice. There's so many, in so many ways, this practice really helps us to meet, to meet this life, to meet each moment. And and we're invited to learn to navigate, to learn all of what's there in each moment. I want to start by sharing a quote, and some of you that I see, we've practiced together, and I think every time I teach, I bring the wisdom of Richard Wagamez from the Wabaseemoong First Nation in the north of Ontario in Canada. So hear a bit of his wisdom. The beginning of wisdom is the same as its attainment, wonder. The truest statement in the world is you never know. There is always something to evoke wonder, to wonder about. Because this world, this life, this universe, this reality is far more than just the sum of its part. Even the slightest detail contains much more. The overwhelming awe and wonder we feel teach us more than we can ever glean or come to know of things. In the presence of that wonder, the head has no answers and the heart has no questions. And I love this sharing because it brings us back to this invitation to open to what is, this sense of wonder, of discovering. And in many traditions, wonder is at the heart of the teachings. In Buddhism, there's a sense of refining, learning to see the truth of things with clarity and with wise understanding. In our practice, we're invited to always be looking, to look closer, to notice, to discover each moment with fresh eyes, with wonder. What is this human life? What leads a heart to freedom, to more peace, to more care, to more compassion? And if we start thinking about um, our practice, it's really about, as I shared, navigating, the ups and downs of life. We learn to meet the experience with balance. And of course we fall. Of course we fall. This is the complexity, and at one point we can say the beauty of being human beings. There is learning that can be done in that discovery. And how many of us are we, throughout a day, are we surprised by our bodies, by our thoughts, by our emotion in the last few weeks and maybe in the last hours? So in our practice, we're inviting to turn inwards and explore true nature and meeting life clearly as it is right now. And as we start to meet this life fully, in some way, with this being, this laboratory that we have with our body, with our mind, with our heart, it helps us to navigate and meet the world that we're in. This turning towards our inner experience can be a challenge. As I mentioned, it takes a lot of courage. And we invite simplicity, we invite this sense of opening to what is, and in some way renouncing to what is not. So our practice invites a deep acceptance of meeting fully what's there. I'm sure a lot of you have heard this before. Joseph Goldstein, I think it was Munindraji, his teacher, would often say, this is a path of simplicity. We're inviting to coming back to the simplicity of each moment. And it's not easy. It's not easy. We learn to really meet the changing phenomena, the changing reality that is right here in this moment. And as we meet that inside of us, There's wisdom that grows and grows, a deeper understanding of this truth of impermanence that we can learn and really understand in a visceral way, experiential way. And here in our practice, where I'm so much more interested in the process, what's unfolding. So we need a sense of wonder, of wanting to discover, a sense of curiosity. And as we do that in us, as we meet this changing experience that we are, again, we learn to also navigate the world that we're in, the world that is, constantly changing, moving, the hardship of our world, the complexity of the world that we're in. And the more we get to meet that, when the heart closes down in us, the more there's this balance that we can find in meeting the world around us also. So this big question in our practice is, what does it mean to be a human being? How do we navigate our world? How do we navigate this heart, this body? And we can ask ourselves, actually, what do I want to cultivate? What's important in my life? What do I want to bring forward in my world? And so, with our practice, we learn to navigate the many ways that life expresses itself. The Buddha talks in his teachings, in one of the sutta, he talks about the 8 worldly winds. He says these 8 worldly conditions spin after the world, and the world spin after these 8 worldly conditions. Which 8? Gain and loss, fame and disrepute, praise and blame, pleasure and pain. And we can see our life moving in one direction, in one of those conditions, one of those winds, and then moving towards the other. And our practice is about really learning to dance with our life. And these 8 worldly winds, we can see them again in us and around us. And as we learn to meet fully each moment again and again, we learn to find this deeper understanding and to cultivate those deeper qualities like equanimity, uh, this inner stability, this balance. And to do that, we also need to really open our heart um, to meeting what's there. And again, that takes courage. And to really accompany us with this courage, we need to have this quality of faith. So just want to name a few qualities that are important for us to really meet fully each moment. This quality of faith, as we know on our path, it's quite important. It's what starts our journey in some way. And for each of us, there was a spark. There was something that touched our heart. Maybe a few weeks ago, maybe quite a long time ago, there was something that touched our heart with this practice. There was something there in actually slowing down and meeting this moment that inspired you. Maybe it was that sense of wonder of actually what is this all about? What is the world that I'm in? How can I meet it maybe differently in a way that makes more sense to me? And this, in one way, was the spark of this quality of faith that is quite important on our journey. And faith can actually give us this sense of of continuity, of wanting to continue discovering this life, even when it's hard, and difficult. It invites us to take the next step, to keep going, to keep showing up to each moment. Martin Luther King Jr. Once said that faith is taking the step even when you don't see the whole staircase. So when we, at times, and you might be feeling that, in the last few weeks, for sure, I feel my heart has been heavy. And then we can remember, okay, if I learn to meet, maybe the heart that is closing down with this sense of care, of compassion, inviting sense of space and meeting what's there. I can know that if I get the chance to meet this moment, maybe I don't know the whole staircase, but I can do this. I can do this. Often in the winds of life, we can feel, the sense of helplessness, and we can see it in our practice. We can see it just in moving through life, and our practice invites this sense of trust and surrender. I was practicing a few years ago for a few months. I was practicing in a cabin in the forest here in Quebec during COVID. So I was alone in a cabin doing a solitary retreat, and I was talking to I was having Skype meetings with one of my teacher who teaches in Nepal, Sayale Badamanika, and she's a Burmese nun, quite a wise being. And I was sharing to her how much, sometimes the heart was closed, sometimes there was fear, sometimes there was sense of discouragement of not actually wanting to show up and meet this life fully. And she kept on saying to me, trust and surrender, trust and surrender. And there was one time when she said it to me that it really hit home. I really got in that moment what she meant is really this sense of wonder, of really opening to what's there, not forcing. I need to have this particular. I need to be, in this particular state right now, or sometimes in our daily life, we might feel I should be more patient. I should be more compassionate. I should be all the shoulds. And then our practice is, meeting this life fully, this sense of trust that I can meet the heart that is closed right now, the heart that is maybe touched by stress or anxiety or discouragement. And when we invite this trust, this sense of faith in our own capacity to actually meet each moment, there can be this sense of surrender that happens. And it's not a surrender that I give up, let the world take care of itself. It's more a sense of actually, can I allow things to be as it is right now? Because we can't change what's there in this moment, but we can bring our wisdom. We can bring our compassion of meeting this moment with a lot of care. And from there, there's the appropriate response that happens. There's the action that needs to be taken. And sometimes there's the space that needs to be allowed to just meet with a bit more space, what's there. The wisdom of maybe there's a need to go outside, connect with nature. That can be such a great and powerful teacher. So this sense of trust and surrender is really this invitation to fully explore what touches us in each moment. There's a sense of trust in our capacity, and also trust in this path. Again, each of us were touched in some way by this practice, by those teachings. And I'm sure for each of us, somewhere in us, this trust, that there is this deep potential for freedom, for deep peace. And from there, we can learn to meet each moment. Because we know. There's a quote I've been sharing a lot recently, and I always feel it has so much depth in it. It's from Gil Franz Dahl, who teaches in California, has a center there, and he says that somehow the depth, the core of what is this Dharma practice about, it's not up to you. It's something's going to be working through you. And it's nothing mystical. It's not like coming from outside. It's a potential, a possibility that lives in your own heart. The biological imperative for liberation. A potential, a possibility that lives in your own heart. And for me, that gives me faith. It gives me hope in this potential for liberation, for freedom, but also for peace. For peace, for this being, but more importantly, peace for our world. Sometimes we might feel, that our practice can be quite, personal, or I'm just doing this thing. What's the impact? But I truly believe that each time that each of us, meet this moment, learn to actually meet this moment with wisdom, with compassion, with care, it ripples, it has an effect all over our world. How would our world be if we would all take time to actually be with what's there when there's anger or sadness, and give that space to move through us? How would the world be? I think it would be quite different. There would be so much more understanding, maybe so much more discussions, and this deep understanding of the complexity. It's so complex being a human being. It's so complex being in this world. So our practice show us that each time that we meet this moment, we learn that in a deeper way. And in some way, the more that we learn to meet this moment fully, there's a sense of deep care for ourselves and for our world. We can even say the word a love, a deep love for this life, for this moment. And the very wise Bell Hooks once said, the moment we choose to love, we begin to move towards freedom and to act in ways that liberates ourselves and others. And for me, when I think about that, this invitation of choosing to love is what the Buddha was pointing towards when he offered this first teaching, to actually fully understand each moment, to know the truth of things. That life is hard. We get caught. We cling to things. We hold on to what we have, or we push away what's not there. And choosing to love, to move towards freedom, is to actually allow ourselves to move, to really meet what's there, and to learn to navigate all those push and pulls with more wisdom. So we have this quality of faith that really helps us to move forward. this sense of trust and surrender, the sense of a deep potential that is alive in each of us to meet each moment. And Sharon Salzberg, when she talks about this sense of trust and faith, she talks about recognizing that our hearts are worth something and that we ourselves, in our deepest, truest nature, are of value. And just recognizing that can actually help us to open again to meet fully this moment. I know for myself, on my path of practice for many years, there was a lot of effort of, yes, I'm meeting each moment, but there was a sense of kind of pushing, of hardship in it. I'm meeting this moment, but there was like contraction. And in our practice, and I think last week you were exploring also the importance of inviting the sense of kindness, of loving kindness, of great friendship to meet each moment for yourself and for the world that we're in. So faith, this trust and confidence, this trust and surrender and confidence, we can also say in some ways to remember our worthiness, our sense of belonging also. And we've seen it in our practice, we can't do it alone. Yes, we might be doing it alone at home, but there's a big Sangha that is supporting us in each moment. So we have this faith that helps us to clarify the mind so we can actually meet even more what's there. And the more, I think it was Thich Nhat Hanh that said, the more you understand, the more you love. The more you love, the more you understand. And these are two sides of one reality. The mind of love and the mind of understanding are the same. It's quite powerful. This invitation for deep care, for kindness, for friendship, and also this invitation for deep wisdom, for clarity, for understanding. And this is what our practice is all about. We're cultivating wisdom to meet each moment, to meet those 8 worldly winds or 8 worldly conditions wisely, clearly, with clarity, and also with the sense of kindness, of compassion. In the middle of it all, there's this deep quality of equanimity that I just want to name for a few moments. This quality of equanimity is quite an important quality. It's a complex quality, and it's in a lot of the many lists of the Buddha, and often it's the last of the list. It's the culmination of our effort. So it's a quality that's not easy to cultivate. But with equanimity, with this inner stability, with this inner balance, we're learning to make or to be at home with all conditions of life. Even when life is very difficult, when life gets hard and very heavy, and maybe, some of us are in conditions that are quite hard, quite difficult, quite complex. And we're being asked here when we meet this moment to find this balance. There's an investigation in meeting our hearts, our minds, with a sense of stability, of non-discrimination, of tolerance. But I find that this quality of equanimity is not, it really is, it's not indifference. It's not at all that. It's actually very, very active. It invites us to be being able to stand in the middle of it all, to be in the middle with stability, with a sense of groundedness. Um, and there's many things I could say, but I see the time is running. But just want to name that, may it be faith, may it be uh, this wise effort, this confidence, this trust, this quality of balance, of patience, of curiosity, being interested, investigate. All of this is happening each time that we just connect with what's there. It's being cultivated, it's being deepened. And that could just be the simplicity, like right now, just noticing the feet touching the earth. And then maybe we notice again that the heart, closes down. The heart is heavy, heavy right now. And then maybe we notice there's the hand touching the thigh or coolness of the hands. And every time we meet the experience, what's there, we're deepening in this sense of deeper balance, of deeper wisdom, not fighting reality, but actually learning to dance with the reality that's here. So I want to end this sharing just by bringing in once more the wisdom of Richard Wagamez in the room. So maybe just finding a place of inner stillness. So he's having a conversation here with a wise elder. He asks, what's the best way to learn to be spiritual? The wise elder, she says, pack light. What do you mean? Carry only what you need for the journey. Don't tire yourself out with unnecessary stuff. Like what? Like your head, like your talk. Spirituality isn't found in your head, it's found in your heart. It isn't found in big, important sounding words or long speeches. It's found in silence. If you travel with your heart and you're quiet, you'll find a way to spiritual. You'll find your way to peace and freedom. I found my first step on the journey that day. So just take a moment, let the words settle. May our practice together be for the benefit of all beings. May our practice bring peace in our world and in our heart. Thank you, everyone, for your great listening. So I want to allow some time for questions that you might have, maybe relating to what I just shared, or maybe about your practice in general and navigating this world right now. And as you take your time, you can write it in the chat or raise your hand. Just wanna just say a few words around this beautiful practice of dana. As I mentioned at the beginning, there's such a strong, and such a beautiful way that this practice has been shared for 2,600 years with this heart of generosity, and it keeps on going in a world that's, mm, being moved by capitalism. Quite different to have this way of being that those teachings are being offered generously so that everybody can actually be touched by those teachings. I feel quite honored to be able to share in that way and to offer those teachings in that way. So in any way you want to support and keep supporting this wheel of the Dhamma turning. I feel for me every time I support my teachers, I'm supporting the Sangha, the community, and it keeps on turning. I want to make sure that this practice stay alive because I really fully believe it can bring the more peace in this world. So thank you for your support in that way and many other ways. Your practice is a deep, deep act of generosity. So is there any questions that are alive? Hmm. Anything that's there in your heart? Yes, Tracy.
Bonjour, Roxanne. Nice to see you.
Hi.
I'm trying to form this, but earlier in your talk, you spoke of meeting the moment and practicing meeting the moment without striving to be seeming to be trying too hard to surrender to the moment. And as somebody who falls in the camp of a lot of sort of striving and craving, I get lost sometimes in that and wonder if you have any suggestions.
Yes, that's a tricky one. Um, I think it's good just to notice when for me in my practice, I was really noticing that there were times when I was, sitting or even as I was walking about and trying to bring, this quality of presence in my work in my life. Often there was a sense of kind of pulling forward, kind of wanting to catch the next thing and be there, and I need like, and so there was a lot of contraction. I feel I can show it in my body, but it's so I could feel it sometimes. I would just be sitting and to practice, and there was a contraction, a very slight contraction that was there. um, and I think for a lot of us, we come from a culture that we need to push and force and do this and do that and be with the breath or be me. So there's a lot of that. And I would hear my teacher often say, soften, soften, ease, relax. And I would hear it, but I really saw actually it's quite an important key to practice, to really learn to soften and to relax. So for quite a long period, I would actually just bring in those words as I was sitting, soften, relax, ease. I would just drop that in. And then I would notice, oh, actually the shoulders were tightening, and then I could actually relax a bit more. So often I would just revisit the posture, noticing the body. How's the body holding up? How's the breath? Is there a tightening around the breath or around, yeah, the face, the jaw, the eyes, the forehead? And I would just invite those three words: soften, relax, ease. And there was something that kind of really helped to actually move with that. And it became quite more, quite more part of my practice. There was a bit more ease there. And also, one of my teacher told me to actually do a longer practice of metta, so do a lot of loving kindness practice. And that actually really, really helped me to open and to soften quite a bit more. So having a lot of metta. I'm also a somatic experiencing practitioner, and so I've worked a lot with the body and learning to actually soften. And when I talk about, just knowing right now, do I have the capacity of meeting what's there, or opening more my attention? So having a bigger container of where the attention is landing has really helped me to soften. Um, and we share that quite a bit more, I find, these days, but opening to sounds as an anchor can also help to soften quite a lot. So it's because sounds are kind of in a bigger space, it really helped me. Sometimes I was tightening around kind of being with the abdomen, and I was doing a lot of noting practice. So opening to another anchor really helped me to soften. So quite a few things I just shared, but that could be things to explore. Yeah, great to see you again. Thank you. Okay, I saw there was a few things coming in. Yes, so Richard Wagamez is the author. I'm gonna write it down. So every time I share, people ask. There you go. And the quote from Gil Fronsdal, I would have to search. I can't remember exactly, but I could see that. Um, Would you say more about how you use Buddhism and Native American tools to support your practice? Um, So for me, I don't know if I share, but from my lineage, on my father's side, we're Algonquin Anishinaabe, and it was actually from one of my teacher in Thailand who told me to go back to my ancestral lineage and learn more about that. Because what he was sharing is that, indigenous wisdom is really close to Buddhism. And as we've seen, in many traditions, there's so much connection. So for me, my connection with indigenous wisdom is really connecting with nature. I spend time with elders, connecting with their wisdom, and just in the way their expression, the interconnectedness with life around us, with nature, has been quite profound. And I see with my Dharma practice also connecting with my environment in a different way, noticing the force of the trees around me, um, and also, connecting with the elements. As you know, the Buddha spoke a lot about the four elements and using that as instruction for practice. So they're quite similar to indigenous wisdom in the way that we can really remember that we are nature. This is earth, this is water, this is wind. And so often we're disconnected from that. We forget that we're actually part of nature. And the more that we deepen in that, the more we understand that there can be a deeper understanding in the aspect of not self. That I'm not this fixed. Roxanne is not this fixed being. She's changing, moving in every moment. Anyways, I won't get into that. But there's a lot of exploration with just, yeah, with nature that was very profound and important to me. Yes, The Body Keeps the Score is a great book. Yes, and all those somatic experiencing practitioners. How do you embrace someone who is very hostile on a consistent basis when you know that they are struggling and have little awareness of the reality, yet even when you show them compassion, make an effort to embrace them, they still continue to be attacking and undermining? That's, yeah, that's quite challenging. And one thing is to remember is that, and that's, I touched very, very lightly around equanimity, but equanimity is really this quality that recognizes that, each being has their path. There's so many causes and conditions, that create each moment for each of us. So it's a very complex thing. And sometimes to remember that with beings around us helps us to maybe navigate a bit more the difficulty of meeting, individuals or beings that are quite difficult to be around, that they have their path. We can invite, again, as you share, we can try to be there for them, and at one point they have their own path. There's a sense of, of trust that they'll find their way, and that's the learning that they might have. So we do our best, and also there's a sense of there's so much we can do. And also an important thing that I think it's important to notice is to name is the sense of, having wise boundaries. Is this supporting me? Is this helping me to cultivate the qualities or the life that I want to create? And sometimes it's difficult, maybe to have clear boundaries are difficult in situation when it is what it is. But for me to find, what I found useful over time is to have my own inner boundaries. There are things that I can allow to be said or not, and things that I just let go. And I remember that the only thing that I can have a certain control is the way that I react. So we're invited to, instead of reacting, responding wisely to the situation, and also really standing in our ground. When I think of this quality of equanimity, this sense of balance, of being able to be in the middle of it all, the difficult, um, there's a lot of groundedness. So to really know our place, there's a lot of stability, a bit like the tree, that with the roots that are strong. We know who we are, we know our worth. So that's also very important. But yeah, there could be so much more depending on the context. Thank you. In terms of equanimity, I feel like I understand the concept, but I find it difficult to move into my day-to-day life, especially when reacting to stresses in life and work. Is there anything that may help with this, or something I could do in the day to help towards equanimity in daily life? Yeah. So for me, it's been simple things. Again, this equanimity is quite a complex quality, quite a big quality. But I love simplicity. It's been very useful for me. And so having this phrase that I think is from Ajahn Sumedho, if I remember well. Um, it's like this right now. Okay, it's like this right now. For me, grounding myself really, so I'm big on noticing the feet touching the earth, grounding in the body first. It's like this right now. And I do that quite often throughout the day. Just it could be just a check-in of what's happening in the heart, what's happening in the mind, noticing that the body's there, noticing the posture, and it's like this right now. And it's like this right now. It's very, very it's really accepting that it's like this right now. It's not wanting things to be different. And then it's how do I meet it? Okay, there is stress. How does it feel in the heart? How does it feel in the body? Okay, and then there's also the feet touching the earth. And it's like this right now, kind of give us space to actually maybe meet it with a bit of space, so we don't get swapped away. And then when we do get swapped away, swapped away, my French here. When we get lost in the challenges of life, okay, it's like this right now. I got caught up, I reacted, I said the wrong thing. And there's a moment of wisdom at one point that will show up and say, okay, maybe I need to just gather myself again, feeling the feet, touching the earth. It's like this right now, the heart that was the mind that was impatient. Impatient feels like this right now. So again, it's really noticing and navigating and being able to support what's there without forcing it to be different. So there's a lot of acceptance once again, and the more we do that, the more there's a bit more, I would say, calm that arises in our life. There's a bit, yeah, here we go again. And also, we learn to know our own tendencies of mind, and we see them in others, and there's less of a surprise, there's less of a surprise. Yeah, life is complex, it's hard. It's like this right now. So maybe one thing that might help. Mm. Uh, Yeah, Sylvia Borstein, may I meet this moment fully? May I meet it as a friend? Great reminder. Thank you. This too shall pass. Yes. Oh, these are great. Yeah, thank you. Beautiful. Anything else? Anyone that wants to share? Hmm. Okay. Yeah, Victoria. Oh, you muted.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah, great. Hi.
you for that really beautiful talk. So, your voice also is the perfect voice for this very tender
Thank you.
subject. Thank you. I wanted to know if because I've heard so many Dharma talks where it seems like the spiritual is like something that that one needs to acquire or something. I don't know, like it's outside of us in some strange way.
Mm,
And I was wondering, does the indigenous tradition, I mean, do all the various indigenous traditions pretty much believe that the spiritual is already within every being, and it's a matter of accessing it and living according to, acknowledging that it's there? Because sometimes I get this sense, you were talking before about, I think in the first part of the Q&A about striving for something.
mhm.
And then you quoted I'm a little mixed up because I didn't know that
Mm,
right.
Gil
Um,
Francis.
well, no, who was talking to the indigenous woman, the elder?
Oh, Richard Wagamez. Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's why I was confused. I was trying frantically to figure out who the writer was. Yeah, that passage that you read where he was talking to the elder and she was saying travel light, and
Yes.
that exchange. And I was sort of, I don't know, I was curious about it because it seems like if one is asking about it, it implies that one doesn't know it's already there. I can't really say it in words, but I think you
Yes.
understand what I'm trying to
I
say.
hear. Yeah. 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 I think in many tradition, and for sure, and if we look at Buddhism, there really this, and when I quoted, Gil Fronsdal, that the potential is really there in all of us. It's there, it's there, and um, we're just kind of deepening in wisdom so we get actually really open to the truth of things. And I think that's a bit where, Richard Wagames was also pointing towards that, in this deep silence and kind of touching into our own heart. It's right there. It's not coming from outside. It's right there. There's this deep understanding that's right there. And in other tradition, and for sure, in some indigenous tradition, there's the bringing in of the creator. So there's something. But for me, if I'll talk just more personally. For me, it's really for me the potential, the capacity, the deep peace, the freedom is here in each moment in this being, and it's all about kind of opening to that and and trusting that. But yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So
I think it's important for each of us to find actually what really resonate and really works for us in some way to help us kind of bring that faith and that trust and surrender in us.
exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's a beautiful clarification. Thank you. Really
thank
beautiful.
you.
So much.
Thank you. Great to meet you.
Great to meet you too.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Such a joy to be here with all of you. And I must say, you're a special Sangha in some way because I just moved and you don't see it, but I have boxes everywhere all around me. And so this is going to be my nest for maybe the rest of my life. So this is my first teaching in my new home. And it's maybe some of you know it. I actually moved in Pascal Auclair's old apartment. So from one Dharma teacher to the other. So it's been a joy to share this space with you and to practice with all of you. And we'll just take a moment to share the merit of our practice and traditionally share the benefit of our time together. So I invite all of us to maybe just come back and come back to our attention. Why are we doing this practice? Why are we taking this time? And may the good merit, may all the benefits of our time together be shared in all directions. May all being on this earth, all beings under the earth and the sky and the water, be free from any kind of suffering. May all beings be at peace. Well, thank you, everyone. Merci beaucoup à tous. Grand plaisir d'être avec vous. Take good care and may we keep practicing and doing our best in this very complex world that we're in. Thank you, Sangha Live, for inviting me. Okay.
Thank you, Roxanne. Thank you, everyone. Feel free to open your mic and say goodbye in your own language.